Don't that. Them real stuff.
Good friends that are black, and I love them.
We never said anything about color. We never said. So here's the thing. Let me understand.
You're too loud.
We're too loud.
In your opinion, let me show you my money. It's just as green as yours.
Right? Oh, you're so stupid, nigga.
Stupid.
Oh!
No.
Show in court. Oh, I like your sign, by the way, too. No niggers allowed.
That's right.
I like that.
You don't belong back there.
I don't belong back there.
No, you don't.
So what? Why would you rent to me if you're a racist? Why would you put a sign up there saying no niggers? What's wrong with you? What?
That's what I mean. You do not go back to that bar. And
So you're going to say no niggers allowed? So you're going to say no niggers allowed, cowboys and cowgirls?
That's right. That's cowboys and cowgirls only. You're not allowed back there. You in that, not back there.
Me and that, as in like what?
That hut.
That what?
You stupid nigger. You don't understand. That hut.
That hut?
Yeah.
I don't know what a hut is, honestly, other than an Indian hut.
Good butt nigger.
Butt nigger? You realize you're being recorded right now, right?
I don't care.
And you're sitting here calling me a nigger and everything else.
What are you? What are you?
I'm an African-American male. I'm an African-American. It's okay.
And I
It's
hate
okay,
black
thank
people. They're the worst. They're stinky, and they just suck. They're just bad people. If you notice over there is a box of Jordans. The favorite pair of shoes for a black man. I'm going to show you what I think of a black man.
Because they smell and they don't work, so we should bring back slavery to whip them niggers. Bring back the KKK. Woo! People like black niggers. Because they smell and they don't work, so we should bring back slavery to whip them niggers. Bring back the KKK. Woo! People like black people. Someone's water, big fucking deal. Oh my god! I can't breathe out!
Resisting. Resisting.
Sorry. Dude, submission.
Back up.
Oh my god!
That's
Just stay
resisting. Pull over.
Yeah, you are choking him. Like you're choking him.
Saying he's resisting won't make him be resisting. We're watching you.
And we're all on camera and it's going in. Relax your hold on his neck. Leave the kid alone.
Come through, guys.
He wasn't resisting either. We all
Oh my God, help somebody, please.
We got it on tape. Don't worry.
Your arm out. Take your arm out. Quit resisting.
Saying he's resisting won't make him do it.
bullshit.
Back up.
Oh, that's if he after us.
We're not in your room at all, man.
No resisting whatsoever from the beginning. You guys should be ashamed of yourself.
Back up.
They need to train these
It's
guys.
on me.
They love me, big guys.
I know he's selling water. He's a horrible criminal.
Back up. Don't really want. Back up. Hey, it's not illegal to stand where you want, you guys. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm standing where
Crime scene. Back up.
the crime has been committed by you. You're the only one who's committed a crime.
Back up.
Oh, he's filming, guys.
Oh. Hey man, just relax. Just lay there. Okay, can we pass? Can we pass? Just chill out. Go. Go ahead. Thank you. Thank you.
Those monkeys from those African countries. His answer was, my concern last night, I tell you, to watch that thing on television as I did, to see those monkeys from those African countries, damn them, they're still uncomfortable wearing shoes. Well, and then the tail wags the dog there, doesn't it? Yeah. The tail wags the dog.
The first day of school is Wednesday for students here in Wynne, Arkansas, and students at the high school likely will have more to talk about than new teachers and classes, namely that 4 students were held at gunpoint here in town last week. The 4 teenagers were going door to door selling discount cards for the high school football program. The Wynne school system says 2 of them had jerseys on. All 4 of the students were African American. The incident took place at this home on Morningside Drive at 10 in the morning on August 7th. The Wynne police chief in a media statement says when officers arrived, 4 juveniles were found lying on the ground with a female standing with a gun. The officer had the children stand up and explain they were selling the cards for school. Bill Winkler's lived in the neighborhood for 4 decades and says seeing the students isn't uncommon.
Usually it's right before football season, late summer, early fall, and the kids are out selling these discount cards.
Monday, Wynne police arrested 46-year-old Jerry Kelly on 4 counts of aggravated assault, false imprisonment, and endangering the welfare of a minor. Kelly doesn't have a mugshot because Cross County Sheriff David West told me she had a, quote, medical issue while she was being booked. Kelly is the wife of Cross County Jail Administrator Joe Kelly, one of West's employees.
During that time that she was at the jail, bondsman arrived and her husband bonded her out, and they went back home.
West maintains despite no mugshot, which is standard procedure for anyone booked into jail, Jerry Kelly did not get preferential treatment. Her husband Joe remains on the job.
I'm professional. My department's professional. There was no special treatment. She went through the steps just like any other person would.
Nobody came to the door at the home Tuesday, as the Wynne superintendent told me door-to-door sales by students could be suspended, and other neighbors are left uneasy at the details of the encounter.
They're just kids. You worry about your neighborhood, and you wonder, well, who is this person?
Court staff say Ms. Kelly is scheduled to make her first appearance in front of a judge Thursday morning at 9 a.m. Reporting in Wynne, Arkansas tonight, I'm Kendall Downing, WMC.
It was supposed to be a game, but now her 10-year-old son is facing playground assault charges.
He is charged with aggravated assault, accused of throwing a ball and aiming for another student's face.
7 Action News reporter Jen Shans heard from both sides tonight. She's live in Canton with a look at how this all started. Jen?
Well, Dave, Carolyn, those 2 boys were playing outside here at Erickson Elementary back in late April when this all happened. But it wasn't until 2 days ago that one of the child's mother, Kamishi Lindley, learned that her 10-year-old was charged with aggravated assault in juvenile court.
These kids are basically playing a game that we all have played.
But on April 29th, what seemed like a harmless game ended with one student getting seriously hurt. According to the boy's mother, who asked we not show her face, he has a rare medical condition, making head injuries especially dangerous. According to a police report, during that game, another student threw a ball at his face on purpose.
He sustained facial tissue damage to his face. He had a black eye and a bruised nose.
Records show the then 4th grader also suffered a concussion. His condition is something Kamishi Lindley says she and her son, Bryce, knew nothing about. Wednesday, Bryce was charged with aggravated assault.
I couldn't believe it.
This is on top of a 1-day suspension, which occurred right after the incident.
This is a kid that was playing on the playground with his friends.
I tried not to let it get to this point.
This mother claiming her son had been hurt before and that she reported it to the school.
My son was hit twice in the face with a ball previously due to this, and the child apologized to my son, and he said, "Mom, it's okay. We're still going to be friends."
I'm unaware of any of those situations. Sorry that her child got hurt. I'd be sorry for any child that got hurt.
Lindley just wishes problems like
Police in
this.
Galveston, Texas, they are apologizing after a photo went viral. And I want to show you this picture because it actually shows 2 police officers leading a handcuffed black man down the street by a rope. This is important. The man had been arrested on a misdemeanor criminal trespassing charge, so not murder. And police confirmed they attached the man's handcuffs to what they're calling a line. Here's part of the Galveston police chief. His name is Vernon Hale. This is part of his statement. He says, "First and foremost, I must apologize to Mr. Neely," that's the man in the photo, "for this unnecessary embarrassment. Although this is a trained technique and best practice in some scenarios, I believe our officers showed poor judgment in this instance and could have waited for a transport unit at the location of the arrest." His statement went on to say that officers then identified in the statement as P. Broche and A. Smith. That's what they're identifying them as. We don't even get first names, but saying they didn't have malicious intentions during the arrest. Hale said the department has changed the policy to prevent this technique from being used again. And of course, as you can imagine, activists are not happy with just this statement. Civil rights organizations like the Anti-Defamation League condemned the actions of the officer and called for an investigation into the Galveston Police Department's policies and practices. Leon Phillips is president of Galveston Coalition for Justice and did say he was happy with the chief immediately ending this practice, but still wants to see the officers punished, saying, "With the climate in the country today, I would hate to see 6 months or 3 years down the road what kind of judgment these same officers would make in a worse scenario." Phillips also worried about the lasting impact the photo could have on the city's tourist-heavy economy and questioned why the officers didn't wait on the scene. Stay there with him instead of humiliating him. And now you've humiliated the whole city of Galveston because everybody who sees it is gonna have an opinion. Phillips, of course, also said the image reminded him of racist images from the 1920s. He said he didn't know the officers personally, but the optics of the photo was shocking. And a lot of this is people saying that the officers should have waited for a transport. And I think I just want to say that they were arresting this man for trespassing. The officers can use their judgment and not arrest a man for walking onto a property that he's not allowed to be on. They could have just decided to not arrest him, let alone go all the way to dragging him down the road.
I covered this yesterday, so I was familiar with it on the breakdown video. There's a couple of things. So the man has a history of mental illness as well. The officers have ran into him on several occasions, so it's not the first time. And I think that actually bodes in the opposite favor then, because then they're familiar with him, so they know how to handle the situation. But it seems by doing this practice, it was more so an act of dehumanization, which I constantly talk about when I discuss issues in the way that police handle situations, right? Because there's this overall thesis that police need further training, which I think they do. But in time, there's so many examples, I've covered so many of these cases now, that you see that they can show restraint and they can show ways to not so much dehumanize people. I mean, how often do we see white mass shooters handled with restraint, even though they pose deadly fear for their lives, if that is the narrative to go to? I mean, the latest example in El Paso is another one, which kind of is why I think the reaction to this was so prominent, because just a few cities over in El Paso, we've never seen anything like this as humiliating and dehumanizing as this, even though the man shot up a Walmart and killed 22 people. And then I know there was a few activist friends of mine who were posting it side by side with the image of Eric Garner, saying this is a man who was allegedly selling cigarettes, this is a man who just shot up a Walmart. So it seems like there's this disparity in policing, and that's why images like this do cause such a reaction, because this man was posing no such threat to the officers, and instead of waiting for a patrol car, they decided in their judgment was to walk him for 8 blocks with this rope tied to him, which of course stokes racist imagery. I wouldn't even say 1920s, I'd go back to 18, back in slave days, where it looked like slave catchers were marching someone down the street. So Poor judgment, Michael.
So not only do you have the race history, but it shouldn't be a trained technique at all. I don't want to see white people being dragged along by a rope on a horse either. I don't want to see anybody going through that. To give you a sense of scale, Donald Trump accused of very credibly of 2 felonies, including obstruction of justice and campaign finance violations. That was a misdemeanor, a much lower charge. Imagine they drag Trump through like that. So no way, but they do it to this poor guy who's mentally ill and happened to wander into a lawn. It's dehumanizing, horrible, and should never happen to any person in America.
One community in the Bay Area is on edge tonight following the recent surge in mass shootings. KPIX5's Len Ramirez is in East San Jose, where many Latinos fear that the Bay Area could be targeted. Len?
Well, that's right, Ken. They feel that the Bay Area already has been targeted with Gilroy. And in Latino neighborhoods like this in East San Jose and throughout the Bay Area, there is a heightened sense of fear and concern about Latinos being targeted by mass shooters. Children about to head back to school shouldn't have to be afraid of mass shootings, but they are.
It's crazy, honestly. Kids like my age aren't supposed to be getting killed. And it's dangerous for all the kids out there.
In the Alum Rock School District with a large Latino population, parents are asking questions about how their kids can be protected.
The current political environment has targeted us in a way that causes, concerns, and it is heightened.
The 3 people killed in the Gilroy Garlic Festival shootings were people of color, and 2 were Latino children from East San Jose. In El Paso, most of the victims were Mexican or Mexican Americans, with the shooter specifically targeting that border city.
Len, when I say the words of being hunted, that's what it feels like in our community.
Maritza Maldonado is a director of Amigos de Guadalupe, a faith-based community group that provides services to immigrants.
We have people out there that are listening to this rhetoric and saying, okay, they're not good enough to be here.
All these words, frustration, anger, insecurity, sadness, fear, they're angry, they're surprised that this would even happen here.
Father John Pedigo just finished a rap session with a young Latino leadership group where he talked them through their feelings and wrote them down.
We're not immune in this county from hatred.
Father John's ministry includes serving a largely Latino congregation. He's now afraid of a shooting in his Catholic church.
When I see what's happened to Jews with Muslims, when I see what's happening to Baptists, some African American historical black churches, they've experienced the hatred. They've experienced the same words. It is just a matter of time.
And of course, let's hope that that does not happen. But Latinos say what they can do now is become even more politically active to try and change the current political climate. Reporting live in San Jose, Len Ramirez, KPIX5.
Racist, anti-immigrant messages discovered on a Houston college campus.
And this comes less than 2 weeks after Latinos were targeted by a gunman in El Paso. Police departments across the Houston area telling our Melissa Correa they're keeping an eye out for flyers that look like this one.
But bigger than the incident is just what it could cause down the road.
Rice University police rushed to pull posters like this from an entrance sign and residential building Thursday. A photo of the anti-immigrant racist message, which includes the phrase, "send them back," was tweeted by a Rice University student, and in a matter of hours, the university's president responded on Twitter, agreeing that the flyer's message was disgusting and especially offensive to students. He also confirmed university police are investigating.
We try to deal with it in a professional manner. We have a very diverse department ourselves, and I'm very proud of that. And I'm very proud of our diverse community.
Captain Clemente Rodriguez says Rice alerted other local police departments and the Anti-Defamation League, which tracks hate speech. The ADL says in this political climate, they are tracking an uptick in anti-immigrant hate displays. In fact, similar flyers were posted up on synagogues in Seattle. Rice University says those flyers originated with a neo-Nazi group.
We're very aware of what's going on, not only around our own community, but nationwide and around the world. We keep track of those things, those trends.
So far, no reports of these flyers spotted in any other part of Houston. If you see one, police want you to pull it down and report it in an effort to keep hate from spreading. Melissa Correa, KHOU 11 News.
Thousands of people celebrating at the Puerto Rican Festival in New Haven, this despite an online threat made against the event. Now this morning, law enforcement revealed it arrested a suspect overnight. Channel 3's Shantae Passmore shows us how police added security while people enjoyed themselves.
Tonight, New Haven's green amplified the sounds of music and cheers as people celebrated who they are.
It was really nice to just kind of be around the music and enjoy a whole bunch of Puerto Ricans together.
As people saluted their cultural pride, many remained on alert. Hours earlier, New Haven police joined the FBI to say Jeffrey Hansen is the suspect behind an online threat made against the event. In response to a news article about the festival, the 53-year-old man of Orange is accused of saying the event is why we need 30-round magazines. Channel 3 learned he's out on bond tonight. Police said they did not seize weapons during its investigation. Hansen is charged with breach of peace. His alleged comment follows a racially motivated, deadly mass shooting in El Paso, Texas.
Especially with the climate today around the country, where hateful rhetoric has led to violence, we wanted to make sure that our public here in New Haven and the national public knew that this was not something we were going to take lightly.
Ahead of the festival, authorities said it did not uncover any additional threats, but doubled down on security.
As soon as you get near the green, you will be met with dump trucks. There's also a large police presence, but once you get past that, there is a party out there, and that's what the people tell me here they want us to focus on.
It is kind of alarming when you see a lot of all that, but I mean, they're here for a reason, and we all just came to have a good time.
The energy is very festive, very united, very like cultural. To be honest with you, I wasn't nervous about coming to the festival.
In an act of resistance against hate, many we spoke to said the only way to win is to stand in solidarity and show up to the festival and celebrate. In New Haven, Shantae Passmore, Channel 3, Eyewitness News.
I don't want my dad. No, the Hispanic people are not doing nothing bad. They're not stealing nothing. I can't do nothing but please open the door for the parents. I'm stuck over there in jail. I'm not gonna have nothing. It's the first day of school for me. My dad bought everything for me to live over here. The rent, and I don't know what I'm gonna eat. And I'm so hungry right now. I need my dad for me. My dad didn't do nothing. He's not a criminal. So the government, please put your heart. Let my parents be free with everybody else, please. Don't leave the child with cryiness and everything.
Here in Ferguson, Missouri at the 5th anniversary for Mike Brown Jr. Just a little bit about me and who I am. My name is Monteria Robinson. My son's name was Jamarian Robinson. He was killed actually August 5th, 2016 in Atlanta, Georgia. My son at the time was visiting his girlfriend at approximately, he was actually inside the apartment at approximately 1:30 p.m. The door was battle rammed open by 17 road police officers from Atlanta to Fayette County, to Fulton County, to East Point, to U.S. Marshal Service with no warrant. Over 90 rounds were fired at my son. Over 90 rounds were fired at my son. He was struck 76 times. My son had a total of 76 bullet wounds to his body. Flashbang grenades were thrown at him, landing on him, burning him. He was shot 6 times in the palm of his right hand, 5 times in the palm of his left hand, all down his arms, his torso, his thighs, his groin, his shins, his feet. Someone walked up the stairs, stood over him, shot down into his body 3 more times. After that, he was handcuffed and then dragged down the flight of stairs, where his body was dropped inside his girlfriend's living room apartment, where he laid there for over 8 hours with no medical aid rendered. My son was alive. My son was a human being. My son was treated worse than an animal. At the time of my son's death, he was a student athlete at Tuskegee University. He was a biology major. He was in his final semester. When you go hunting, how many times do you hunt for your target? How many times is a deer struck by a bullet? once. Why is that? To prevent from tearing the flesh of the animal. My son had a total of 76 bullet wounds to his body. No one deserves to die that way.
They shot him 76 times. He was handcuffed and dragged down a flight of stairs where his body was dropped in his girlfriend's living room. His body laid there for the next 8 hours. They did show my mother a photo of the person that they were looking for, and my mother said, "That's not my grandson." You know, they were saying it was a shootout with police, but my son was shot in the palms of both of his hands. He was shot 6 times in the palm of his right hand and 5 times in the palm of his left hand.
So his hands were up.
His hands were up, exactly.
At the time of my son's death, he was inside his girlfriend's apartment watching TV, minding his own business. After killing my son, they showed my mom and my 2 brothers a photo of the person that they were looking for. It was not my son. My mom stated, "That's not my grandson." My 2 brothers stated, "That's not my nephew." My brother then proceeded, he flipped out his phone, showed the GBI lady a photo of what my son looked like. They took that photo, dropped it on the news that night, and said Eastport man had a shootout with police today. That's the false narrative that they gave to the media. That's the reason why my son's story never made world news or national news, due to the false narrative created by the police and the media. But the inhumane way in which he was killed will make history. I always say, if they don't give us justice, then we'll take it. My son did not die in vain.
Shalom, first and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone who are teaching this truth and sincerity. And a shout out to Yakim that's out there in 4 quarters of the earth proclaiming this truth. Bracha the Yahweh, Bracha the Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rakakadash, Bracha Dum. So, taking a look at a few things that have been going on here. Well, we know that we had a blackout in Texas, and what is it that we had stated before? That Venezuela was a testing ground for EMPs. Now they're doing it over here. This is the second one, because they did one in, I believe it was Brooklyn, somewhere in New York, but I think it was Brooklyn or it was Manhattan. All the lights had went out. Now they've done the same in Texas. Tons were without power. You know, I'm not sure if they've restored that or not, but definitely it's things to check out. And there's other things suspicious even in my town, you know, like them dumpsters that over be at Target, you know. There's a shitload of them to where it's almost like a trailer park of big ass fucking, you know, dumpsters, the kind that you get off of trains. Okay, so that tells me that they're preparing for something, and I've been seeing a lot more fire trucks. Haven't seen a lot of fires, but I've seen a lot of fire trucks. That tells me that they're getting ready for something, you know. So we always got to be on the lookout. We always got to be on our watch for things like this, because we know that the only thing that has to happen now is the mark of the beast, the RFID, has to go out. Well, a lot of people are getting the mark of the beast, you know, voluntarily for now, you know, but more and more people are doing it. You got that one crazy ass fucking bitch that took an electric key and put it in her right arm, you know, because she wanted to get into her Tesla car, you know, just one of them crazy ass fucking daredevils, you know. And you got other things. Well, showed you a whole series of things. I'm not sure if they'll say it's copyrighted or not, so download this while you can, kind of thing, because of the fact that, you know, a lot of those are news clips, and you know how that fucking goes, you know. But nonetheless, though, you know, it's in a series that another brother put up. When will you realize that this devil hates you? You know, and it's like a part 16 out of that. I really like watching those because it really takes a look at the news events and just certain things that would get ignored by the mainstream, even though a lot of those are from mainstream. But you know what I mean. They don't really focus in on it, not like we do, where we take things that are happening, you know. So, you know, you got all that. And then, you know, pretty much you got, you know, this devil trying to come in and, you know, radicalize us, you know, about what happened last week, you know, when they said, though, that he was a black identity extremist, and you can best believe that's all set up. You know as well as I do that almost everything's a teleprompter and a blue screen. So you could take real life events and then use that blue screen effect and change the person's look. And that's most likely what happened, you know. Yeah, sure, you got a stuntman in there shooting up a bunch of shit, you know, and you got crisis actors, and then you got, you know, I'm not saying it's not a real shooting, but what I'm saying, though, is that it's all staged. Yeah, of course you got a real shooter there and all that. But is it the suspect that they say that it is? No, man, you can't trust this devil, man. You know? Do you really believe that they killed Osama bin Laden? Or do you believe he was a made-up character? Do you believe the mainstream story that it was a bunch of people with box cutters that hijacked planes and that it was jet fuel that brought down the Twin Towers? Or do you believe it was Mossad with them suitcase nukes and the fact that it was in an Illuminati card game saying suitcase nuke? You know, they showed you that, you know, pretty much suitcase nuke. There was an Illuminati card game showing you a bunch of events, which include the Joggers card, and that was played later. You know, AKA the Boston bombing. Then you had a card called the Combined Disasters. Yeah, man. You know, and these are showing you predictable things. Simpsons does a lot of that too. You know, and then if you take the Supertramp album, Breakfast in America, and then you hit the reverse, because you could do that with your computer, you notice the Twin Towers are standing, and then you can see the numbers 9/11. And you got Randy Savage saying, when the Twin Towers come crashing down. So this devil's been planning shit for a long time. They've been planning to frame us. We've been warning about that. We're watchmen. We're sent to warn the people. Warn our people to repent. You know, but only the elect are going to repent. You know, and the rest are just going to, they're not even going to adhere to this. They don't adhere to this. And then there are a lot that did adhere, but then they went back into the world. You know how that goes. Reprobates. You know, Apostle Ramla goes into that, which I'll just re-forward that, you know, because probably, you know, there's just so much that's coming out, man, you know. You know, I'm going to put it into terms like this, man. What I'm doing, you know, is like a Roku channel, all right? I'm taking a lot of events and videos of Great Millstone and news clips and all that, and it's like a Roku channel, you know, showing you all the things that's been going on, and maybe getting a lot of things that you didn't quite catch in your feeds, your subscription feeds, because you got so many other alerts coming on. You can, you know, if you hit that bell on almost everything, it drowns out other things. That's what they don't tell you, you know. But nonetheless, though, things are happening at a quicker rate, and we're starting to see the downfall of this devil, you know, and that's why he's coming down having great wrath. So we're going to take a look at a lot of things. Going to take a look at the screencast. Sami Zayn, who's a Syrian, well, it looks like he was lashing out at people too. Well, it's kind of weird, okay, you know. I actually had a dream that I met Sami Zayn. Okay, and this is what's weird, and this was just a couple nights ago before this whole alert came on about Sami Zayn lashing out, but you know, I was just wanting to ask him. I was like, well, how can you do that? How can you be over here when you know what's going on, that your country, Syria, is being destroyed by these very people that you work for, you know? I was actually talking to him about that. Well, it's coming out because, man, I would hate to fucking, you know, I hate Esau anyways. Okay, I'm stuck in Babylon, Edom, but, you know, someone that's gone out of his way to tear me down, to take us down. Yeah, man, I don't want fucking anything to do with that. You know, so I just don't see how Sami Zayn could have done it. And maybe it was a prelude to what happened, because like I said, that was just a couple nights ago. Okay, that's one thing into another, though. But nonetheless, though, when will you realize this devil hates you? Well, this devil hates everyone. That's not an Edomite. You know, they quote-unquote hate anyone that's not white. You know, if you're not white, you're not right. All that kind of crap, you know, is what this devil really thinks, you know. You know, especially, let's just say it, all right? You know, say that, and I've dated people, and I would find out later I'm an Israelite, but I actually was dating someone who was AKA Negro, you know, and she was very kind and all that, and my family's like, oh, you're going to have chocolate-covered babies. I just came out, you know. Racial shit, right? You know, because Esau thinks he's superior to all that, right? You know, and so what if I did? Well, then that means that my children would come back looking closer to what I used to look like, you know, because we're a speckled bird. But we have all kinds of shades of colors, but you take a good look at the what Syrians look like, what Ishmaelites look like, and you would find out that Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans match the origins of the people that are there. Because a Latino and a Syrian, they're going to look alike. They're going to look a lot alike as far as the skin tone, the facial features, all those things. So, Syria being our brother, even though they screwed up, man, because they got images of Caesar Borgia all over, and they worship Caesar Borgia, the same as 2/3 of our people do. But, nonetheless, though, one thing's for sure, though, this devil hates everyone that's not like him, pretty much. They got this superiority that everybody should have blonde hair and blue eyes, but even though the majority of the world does not have blonde hair and blue eyes, which those are curses. You see how the devil flips everything upside down. But we call him the devil for lots of reasons. We know this devil hates us. They hate everybody that's not like them. And the rest of the world knows about it, and that's why they hate Esau. Esau has become small among the heathen. And all these countries are taking proverb against that. Especially, we already know about North Korea, which is the Ammonites. The Ammonites hate this devil. You think Japan has fucking forgot what America has done? Oh yeah, eventually South Korea, North Korea, man, what they won't tell you on the news is that they've been having a lot of peace talks, because Kim Jong-un is trying to get all Koreans together as one nation and kick the devil out of South Korea. So these nations are taking a proverb against Esau. And, this devil was trying to get a coup d'etat in Hong Kong. And those Moabites weren't tolerating it either. See, Esau is becoming less and less tolerable. And the funny thing is though, that the other half of the Edomites, the Russians, the Germans, and all them, they are taking a proverb against the other half of Esau. So you got Egyptian against Egyptian going on, And, man, with the backing of Russia, these other countries are now well armed. Because Russia is arming them. Of course, because in the end there can only be one. And that's what's happening. So anyhow, going to take a look at the screencast, and hopefully these videos are edifying. Like I said, what I try to do, and my channel used to be called In Revelation Times, till the devil took it down. So hopefully, download this video while you can, because like I said, there are some news clips here. They may claim copyrights to it, because I think that there's one Young Turks on there and a few others. Chris Green doesn't care if you copy stuff, but I know Last American Vagabond does, so, you just got to be careful about what you forward. But you can definitely read articles. They can't stop you from using screencasts and actually looking at articles, which I do a lot of that. Press TV, RT, they don't care if you use their material. Neither does the Syria TV channels or Syrian Arab News Agency care about the material you use. Now only the Zionists do. If you pull sources from like CBS or whatever. Alright, let's take a look at the screencast. Shalom, and I'll be back, looking at some other articles as well.
North Korea warning. Kim fires 2 unidentified missiles as conflict tensions explode. Kim Jong-un has reportedly fired 2 unidentified projectiles into the Sea of Japan, according to South Korea. The alleged missile launch comes after ongoing U.S.-led military exercises with South Korea. It would make it North Korea's 6th launch in more than 3 weeks as tensions with the U.S. soar. The weapons used in the suspected test have yet to been identified but are likely to be short-range ballistic missiles that Pyongyang has tested many times this year. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said projectiles were twice launched from an area on the northeastern coast. The potential launch comes just a week after 2 tactical guided missiles were fired across the South Hwanghae Peninsula. It comes amid stalled denuclearization talks with Washington and U.S.-South Korea military exercises, although Washington and Seoul played down the tests. Kim said it was an occasion to send an adequate warning to the joint military drill now underway by the U.S. and South Korean authorities, according to KCNA. The new type tactical guided missiles, launched from the western area of North Korea, flew across the peninsula over the capital and the central inland region to precisely hit the targeted islet in the sea off the northeast coast, KCNA said. Its report confirmed the South Korean military's analysis of their trajectories on Tuesday. The launches clearly verified the reliability, security and actual war capacity of the weapon, KCNA said, echoing analysts who said the launches showed North Korea's confidence in its missile technology. The United States and South Korea kicked off their largely computer-simulated Dongmeng, or alliance, exercises this week as an alternative to previous large-scale annual drills that were halted to expedite denuclearization talks. North Korea decries such exercises as a rehearsal for war aimed at toppling its leadership. U.S. Defense Secretary Mark Esper, on his first tour of Asia, said during a meeting with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe in Tokyo that North Korea remained of great concern. Esper said the U.S. won't overreact to the missile tests. Lee Sang-min, a spokesman for South Korea's unification ministry that handles inter-Korean ties, urged the North to stop the tests and explore confidence-building measures such as returning to a joint military committee.
Quit going to college. Quit your job.
Good evening. I'm Michelle Greenstein, filling in for Rick Sanchez. Let's get started. We are witnessing the emergence of 5G, the fifth generation of wireless technology. 5G is currently being rolled out in cities across the country. In fact, here's a map of all the cities with either 5G coverage currently or plans for 5G coverage later on, either from AT&T, Sprint, T-Mobile, or Verizon. 5G is the groundwork for the wireless industry, what they're calling the Internet of Things. A system in which everything from your car to your dishwasher to your door lock to your baby's diapers will be connected to the internet. If something can be connected, it will be connected in a 5G world. But don't take it from me. Take it from the man who used to head the Federal Communications Commission, the agency which is supposed to be in charge of regulating the wireless industry.
Shalom. Want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Waharakah Kwadash, and double honors to the Apostle and Elders of Great Millstone. It's the brother Yahweh coming at you with another lesson to edify the hopeful elect. So Lord willing that this video be edifying. I'm just going to jump right into it. As you see, brothers, you see the 5G, you see, is on a fast track. As you speak, as she spoke about, you know, there is going to be a wireless connection for your doors, you know, anything much as possible, you know, as technology increase, you see. But they're also leading up to the mark of the beast, the RFID microchip, you see, you know. So these devils have an agenda, you know, that they want to push. And it's speeding up. They ready to push the RFID microchip, you see? Because the 5G technology is part of the RFID microchip, you see? The Internet of Things. So they basically want to turn you into an Internet of Things. As you see, as the doors, she said, that what stuck out to me when she said the doors, you know? Because you use the RFID chip to get into certain buildings, you know? You see, and your cars, you know, your job, restaurants, vending machines, you see. So these devils are ready to push this chip, you see. You know, this 5G technology is moving rapidly, you see. Like I said, once again, these elites, they have an agenda that they want to push, you know. To chip the whole world, you know. I got a couple scriptures I want to get into, you know. This is Salaki, brothers. Daniel 12. I'm gonna start at verse 3, and it says, and they that be wise shall shine as brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteous as the stars forever and ever. You see, it says, as they and they be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament. You see, starting with our apostles, elders, great millstone. You see, the ones who's taught us this truth. You see, they're wise. You know, that you can see the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. You see that these elders got, they're shining brightness as the firmament. You see, so Lord willing, you know, that I also shine bright as the firmament. You know, and I turn many to righteousness. You see, and it says, but thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. You see, this is an example of knowledge increasing. You see, we went from 4G to 5G. You see, knowledge is increasing. You see, because these devils got an agenda once again that they want to chip the whole world. You see, play a little bit more of this video.
If something can be connected, it will be connected in the 5G world.
You see? You see? If something could be connected, it will be connected. You see? In the 5G world. That's also talking about you humans. You see? Because these devils, they have an agenda to track your whereabouts with the RFID microchip. You see? From your money. You see? You know, and it also, it can kill you. These devils got probably buttons that they can press and it just blow up in your skin, you see? These are goddamn devils, man.
Autonomous vehicles, smart city energy grids, transportation networks, and water systems. Hundreds of microchips, the 5G.
Whoa. Did you hear that? Hundreds and billions of microchips. Wow. You see? I told you, these devils, man. These devils ready to push this RFID microchip. You see? That's the spirit. Brakatha Yahweh Shai. You know? Man, that's let me go back to that. That's amazing, man. He just told you. He just told you. First, let me read the scripture. Salaki, brothers. I got a little excited. This is Revelation 13. I'm gonna start at 13. And it says, he does great wonders so that he make fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. He deceived them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles. You see? And what's some of the miracles? You see, they're telling you that the technology is, it will basically benefit you, you know, with the brain chips. You see, you might not can walk again. You take the RFID microchip, you better run, you know. That's deceiving you by the miracles that of this devil. You see, the technology of this devil. You see, it says, and deceive them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had wounded by the sword and did live. What is that talking about? The Roman Empire, you know, coming back through NATO and the EU. You see? And it says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. This is the point right here. Verse 16. And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. You see? Them chips, them RFID microchips. What's this devil just said? You see? What's the devil just said? Let me go back. Shilaki, brothers, on damn devil, man. You see? Let me go back just a little bit.
World. autonomous vehicles, smart city energy grids, transportation networks, and water systems. Hundreds of billions of microchips, the 5G.
Wow. Hundreds and billions of microchips. You see? So you can't, man, death to you niggas who don't believe in the Most High, man. Death to you niggas, man. Because the scriptures are speaking, man. The scriptures are speaking. You see? The scriptures are speaking. You know? We're at the end of this thing, man. You know? You should be pumped up in the spirit, you know? Because that was amazing, man. The devil just brought it out. The devil just brought it out himself. And the apostles and elders of Great Millstone been telling you brothers since the beginning. Since been telling you niggas since the beginning, you know? You know? Verse 17, it says, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast and the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for the number of the man of a man, and his number is 666. You see? So without this RFID microchip, he also said about your water, you see? Anything that basically technology and it can be wireless and in a smart city, you're gonna be connected to a RFID microchip. You see? So ordering up to buy or to sell, you're gonna have to receive the RFID microchip, you know? And if you do take the RFID microchip, you will be destroyed. You see? You will be destroyed by thermonuclear destruction. You see? You know? So brothers, we pay attention to the uprising of this 5G technology. You see? You know? Lord willing, I'm gonna leave this video. I'm gonna leave this video right here from the RT America in the description box. You brothers check it out, you know? Because this devil's bringing it out. You see? So brothers, Lord willing, that I hope this video been edifying. You know, I'm going to give all praise and glory to my power, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Waharakakwa, and double honors to the apostle elders of Great Millstone. Keep striving, brothers. Keep pushing. We almost out of here. Death to La Babal. Shalom.
All right, shalom. First and foremost, as always, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. I want to say double honor to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Peace and blessings to the elect. And I'm the brother Zion. And real quick, this is basically just in. Got a notification from Dabu77, which this guy normally reports pretty good news, man, you know. And obviously this is the Lord's judgment. You know, there's been a lot of judgment hitting the state of Texas. You know, you had that mass shooting, which you know, we believe that those are basically false flags and staged events, because you have something called crisis actors to push a new world order agenda. Okay, but there's a lot of judgment been hitting the state of Texas, and this is the newest that's just in. It says blackouts reported across Texas leave more than 85,000 without power and 911 disabled. Okay, which that can basically lead to a lot of crime, man, a lot of killing. Okay, a lot of looting, a lot of stores getting robbed, you know, a lot of theft. Basically a time of trouble, you know. So, you know, be on the lookout to hear more about this situation down there in Texas, man. Okay, 85,000 without power is a lot of people, man. We understand that the state of Texas is very, very large, but 85,000 people is 85,000 people, you know. And the fact that 911 is disabled, you know, they can't, basically emergency services is, you know, they're down, you know. And on top of that, it's a blackout. You know, I remember New York City had that blackout. You know, so this is all the Lord's judgment, man. The Lord is working, the angels are working. Like I said, the only thing we can really do is sit back and watch. You know, but these type of things are going to take place on the planet Earth, man. You know, and that's why we go out there and push this word out there, because you know what, it could be a lot of Jakes down. Well, you know what, I'm almost certain it's a lot of Israelites down there without power. You know, and they probably still praying to Cesare Borgia, man. You know, I'm not sure about the camps that's down there in Texas, but Lord willing, you brothers are safe. You know, sending prayers to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai that if you brothers are in a situation, you know, Lord willing, you brothers are safe. You know, well, you brothers have the covering anyway, the sincere brothers. So yeah, we understand Yahweh Shai has our back. But for you other people out there, man, you pretty much food, man. Okay, you basically are sheep being led to the slaughter. Okay, because there's no fear of the Lord in this land, man. It tells you that in Hosea, the 1st chapter, which we're gonna read that real quick. Yeah, let's get that, because that was actually a great point. You know, there's no fear of the Lord in this land, man. This is the book of Hosea, chapter 4 and verse 1. It says, "Hear the word of the Lord, ye children of Israel. For the Lord hath a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of the Most High in the land." You know what? And that's super spiritual that these fireworks are going off right now, because also the missiles are going to hit this place, man. This place is going to be destroyed by the way of thermonuclear missiles, which is going to be the grand finale. Okay? That's super spiritual that these fireworks just started going off, man. Okay, but Salakia, if it's too noisy, brothers, hear the word of the Lord, ye children of Israel. For the Lord hath the controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge in the land. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, they break out, and blood toucheth blood. Therefore shall the land mourn, and everyone that dwelleth therein shall languish, with the beasts of the field and the fowls of heaven, yea, the fishes of the sea also shall be taken away. And mentioning the fishes of the sea, there was actually I forgot where it was at, but the brothers sent it, and there was, I think it was a salmon. They were dying because it was too hot. You know, Lord's willing, I'll find it and I could do a video on it. But you brothers can also look that up, man. All right. But yeah, man, you know, you never know what's gonna happen during this blackout down there in Texas, man. You know, the Lord is doing marvelous works in these last days. Like I said, 85,000 people is a lot of people, man. And the most important part that stuck out to me was it says 911 is disabled. So if you're getting robbed during the blackout, then you're not gonna be able to call the police, man. 911 is out of order, and that's where a lot of people's gonna catch their judgment, man. You know, so judgment is hitting the planet Earth, man. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory. You brothers can go to Dabu77 and check the video out. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. Double honor to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And shalom to the house of David the elect. See you brothers in the next lesson. Shalom.
Okay, so on the subject of Sami Zayn, who you know is a Syrian, and I already told you what the dream was about, that I was, you know, about to ask him, you know, how do you feel dealing with these people over here that hate you and doing what they do? Well, here's a little bit of that, because an Edomite actually attacks, you know, loses it and comes out. Check this out.
Let's move on to some news. Sami Zayn lost it after the match. No, we really wouldn't blame Sami Zayn for being frustrated. After all, he lost in the first round of the King of the Ring last night. Let's face it, when was the last significant win he had? However, it seems WWE, probably Paul Heyman, is capitalizing on his frustrations, as in a WWE exclusive.
Paul Heyman's also Amalek, so go figure. He's Syrian and Paul Heyman is Amalek, just for the record.
Cameras managed to capture Sami being irate after the match, yelling and swearing, which was bleeped, at a fan in the crowd trying to jump the barricade and taunt him. He was smashing chairs, swearing at officials, and turning over steel steps. We love the new attitude and hope WWE will finally give him the push he so frankly deserves. Next up, a fan tried to jump the barricade and EMTs were called to another. Some fans just haven't been put off from the stupid idea of jumping the barricade in an attempt to get closer to their favorite or worst WWE superstars in the ring, ever since an idiotic fan ran out from the crowd to attack Bret the Hitman Hart at the Hall of Fame ceremony this year and got a few black eyes for his trouble, not to mention a probable jail sentence. One fan had that idea in mind at last night's Raw, but he didn't get too far as security managed to stop him just before reaching the barricade, restraining him. Now, fans don't take too kindly to the show being hijacked by an idiot, so asshole Chance broke out. He was most likely kicked out of the arena, and also during the show, the action might have gotten a little bit too much for one fan as they fainted. Luckily, EMTs who were always on standby rushed to help. Hopefully, the fan is okay. And the last bit of news, it's tub time on Raw.
So, anyhow, like I said, Paul Heyman is Amalek, and Sami Zayn's a Syrian. Okay, what's one thing got to do with another? Well, it's just the fact, though, that even the heathen are hissing at Amalek, at Esau, is the whole point in all this, where I was going. Now on to other things. Well, may as well just go ahead and look at Syria. It's kind of funny, though, but, you know, this is some of the things that I was actually talking to Sami Zayn about in the dream, and it's just weird how all this sort of comes into play in essence that, you know, Sami Zayn's in the news and Bashar al-Assad is in the news, you know, and that is the fact that, well, and he's made this declaration before, but as you can see, though, Turkey had to reinforce, you know, the terrorists in the Idlib province. Well, President Bashar al-Assad, Syrian people and army determined to continue fighting terrorists until every inch of Syrian territory is liberated, which includes the U.S. and their fucking terrorists called the Syrian Democratic Forces, which have nothing to do with the Syrian government. President Bashar al-Assad on Tuesday received a delegation from the Unified Russian Party, headed by Russian State Duma member Dmitry Seblon. The two sides reviewed the developments of the war on terrorism in Syria, with Seblon and the delegation members congratulating President Bashar al-Assad on the victories achieved by the Syrian Arab Army against terrorists, particularly the recent victories in the Idlib countryside. And that's why Turkey, Gomer, is reinforcing their terrorists. Seblon, the delegation members, voiced confidence that these victories will eventually lead to establishing security and stability across the entirety of Syrian territory, which is why Gomer plans to invade Syria. If Gomer had their way, they would actually take over Syria completely. President Bashar al-Assad said the victories that have been achieved prove the determination of the Syrian people and army to continue fighting terrorism until every inch of Syrian territory is liberated, despite the continuing support provided to terrorists by several Western and regional sides, mainly Turkey, as recent battles at Idlib proved Ankara's clear and unlimited support for terrorists. Talks during the meeting touched on the agreements that have been discussed during the delegation's previous visits, as well as future cooperation prospects and agreements and ongoing work to expand cooperation to cover all levels, including social, scientific, and cultural levels, in order to achieve the two countries' mutual interests. Sabin also discussed with President Bashar al-Assad his tour of a number of Syrian provinces, expressing satisfaction over witnessing the full return of normal life to them. So, pretty much, though, you know, the ones that are fighting terrorism, which, you know, it's Russia and Syria together, jointly. Okay, this article I found very interesting. So, not all Edomites over here, so you got Egyptian against Egyptian, agree with piece of shit Trump either. Check this one out. Chicago Teachers Union goes to Venezuela, praises Maduro for not closing schools. So you see, a lot of them are disagreeing with the government, you know. And hey, you know, when I was going to college, man, a lot of people were within the college were against the war in Iraq. Those closures prompted a CTU visit to Venezuela in praise of its socialist leader, Nicolas Maduro, whose corrupt dictatorial regime has sparked rebuke from some 50 nations around the world. Yeah, those are all Edomite nations, but here's what's funny. Surprise, the Chicago Tribune comments, surprised by CTU's Venezuela visit. Then you haven't been paying attention. For representatives of the Chicago Teachers Union, including a member of its executive board, visited Venezuela in July and returned with a high praise for the policies of President Maduro. So you see, that's just it. Through major economic hardships, which the United States is the one putting them there, Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro has never closed a single public school or a single health clinic. This stands in stark contrast to our experience in Chicago, where Mayor Rahm Emanuel closed 50 public schools and several mental health clinics in a single year. Also, the Venezuela government is better than the Esau Edomite government. Listen to this. Chambers also posted on social media her astonishment that during her trip, she didn't see a single homeless person. Oh, shit. You're not going to hear about that. Not a single homeless person in Venezuela, even though they're enduring very hardships because of the United States. She and others praised literacy rates in the country and the commune-style culture. You see, we've been oppressed all of our goddamn life, so we know what the fuck to do, you know? So, unlike the vision that the mainstream media is trying to push, see, at least with zero heads, they're telling you the truth. Poverty in Venezuela is an epidemic. Nearly 90% of Venezuelans live in poverty. Well, again, you know, the curses that be on our people. So, yeah, we've been in poverty all our life. According to estimates by the United Nations Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, this is a dramatic increase from 2014 when 48% of Venezuelans lived in poverty. Marie Ponce is an investigator with the local universities researching the food storage, and she stated that this disparity between the rise in prices and the population's salaries is so generalized that there is practically not a single Venezuelan who is not poor. Well, yeah, because look at all the sanctions that piece of shit America be putting on, you know. So you got, you know, hyperinflation going on, you got the food crisis, but yet our people are sticking it out, you know, but they want to give you the image that, oh, they want to come to America. Come on. Just the statistic in Chicago alone about all those schools being closed and those health clinics being closed. Is there really a future coming to this piece of shit? So if anything's a shithole country, it's America. And here's another place that's dealt with economic sanctions ever since 1978, so what, almost 50 years, well, about 40 years now? Iranian people know U.S. pressure hasn't materialized. The Iranian nation is aware that Trump's administration maximum pressure against Iran has not materialized, says Iran's Secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, Ali Shahini. Just walk the streets of Tehran and see how energetic our people are, and you will realize what the U.S. has been trying to achieve has not materialized, he said in an interview with ABC in Tehran on Monday. he further cast doubt on the idea that U.S. President Trump actually seeks negotiations with Tehran. Yeah, because the only thing that they plan to do is try to back him up into a corner. What do you think that's going to cost? Well, you already know that war is ineffable. The sanctions campaign is not for negotiation. It's for making us surrender, he added. As long as this approach is taken by the United States, Iran will never seek negotiations. Which, you know as well as I do that America doesn't want negotiations. They just want all this to be a pretext for war, just like they did with Syria. And here's this. We had a case of successful negotiations with the GCPOA. How come the United States departed from it? Yeah, exactly, because the United States really ain't for making peace. They're for war. And who's gathering them up? Well, there's more on Venezuela here. Venezuela's lined up to sign petition opposing U.S. sanctions. So, Oh, wait, we got a video here, so let's go ahead and play that.
Hoy damos inicio a la recolección de firmas de nuestro pueblo en contra de las medidas agresivas del imperio norteamericano. Esperamos tener éxito en esta recolección porque ya todo nuestro pueblo está sufriendo en carne propia estos bloqueos económicos.
Hoy en la Plaza Bolívar estamos apoyando la recolección de firmas en contra del bloqueo. Un bloqueo nefasto por una sola persona que decidió venir a intervenir a Venezuela en un país soberano.
And more uproars of the people, and I was just going to state, though, that you see the similarity between Syria and Venezuela, and like I said, the leader, Bashar al-Assad, did speak with an ambassador from Venezuela, and the two were speaking, and it was like, well, we have a common enemy here. Let's try to do the same thing over here, So, yeah, all these countries, especially ours, we hate Esau, Syria agrees with us, which is probably the whole point about why I was giving that little thing about Sami Zayn or whatever. But nonetheless, though, man, the tensions are there. Uproars of the people, man. Sami Zayn reacting in the way that he did, it's just because he's in enemy territory. Okay? Syrians are hated over here. You heard all the rhetoric from Donald Trump when he was running, because of Syrian refugee crisis, and he's like, oh, we don't want them coming in here, because there may be ISIS aboard. But America created ISIS, and all ISIS members have is U.S. Marines tattoos. So who is ISIS? Fucking Edomites, man. So, just all the rhetoric that is spewed out, but yet it's the same thing with Venezuela. Anyhow, and the Egyptian against Egyptian, man. They don't, most people don't regard the leaders, man. They know that the government is totally fucked. That was even in a movie. I think it was Jack Black. The government's totally fucked, you motherfucker. The government's totally fucked. And it's just talking about how they're genociding animals and all kinds of shit. I know it was a comedy movie, but yet that's true. The government's totally fucked. Trump's sanctions have come at a cost for America, U.S. experts. Well, of course, duh. That's what they don't want to talk about, but you see this being press TV, they will talk about it. Experts say the United States has been at a loss in the foreign relations and economic areas under President Trump as a result of his excessive reliance on the policy of sanctions against other countries. You see who's starting World War III here, the third woe that cometh quickly. So that's why we want him to win the re-election. So we want this fucking place, America, destroyed once and for all. We despise this fucking place. We don't want to live the so-called American dream. We know that's fucking bullshit. Although past U.S. administrations have relied on sanctions, Trump has used them in excess at a cost to the United Snakes. Liz Rosenberg, the Director of Energy, Economics, and Security Program at the Center for a New Babylonian Security, because I'm just going to call him Babylonian, I'm going to call him, Esau, I'm going to call him Idumea, which Idumea is a trick, so that way you wouldn't know it's Esau, was on Monday quoted by the Associated Press as saying, she and others said inordinate resort to the bans had come to jeopardize U.S. relations with its main allies in Europe and elsewhere, as well as less America-friendly countries. Not to mention the shit against Mexico alone. Avocados and lots of other things come from Mexico. Mexico was one of the main ones buying from them, but, this whole build the wall and all this other shit, which is really to keep people in the United States, that's what they won't tell you. So that way you can't flee into Mexico to get away from this, especially if you be on parole. You don't have any fucking rights if you are an ex-felon, So, a lot of ex-felons, they can't be ex-felons unless they go to Mexico and get the fuck out of America. You know how they have that stereotype, once a criminal, always a criminal, right? But the only criminal are these goddamn Edomites, which is kind of funny because they try to escape punishment. Kind of like what they won't tell you about is that most of them didn't just flee into Australia, but they fled over here because they were too uncivilized to pretty much fit into UK's, and Europe at that time, society. They were intolerable. So they got deported to both America and Australia. They don't want you to know anything about that, which explains quite a lot. Alright, now I'm going to get some scriptures out and take a look at a few other videos. I was already quoting out of this, so, I may as well just read it in its purity. Obadiah. The vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Most High Yahweh concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Most High, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let her rise up against her in battle. Which is what's happening. These places are taking a proverb, Syria and Venezuela coming together and pretty much, hey man, we got a common enemy. Persia is now coming up and supporting a lot of these places, and and we know that Magog, in particular, even though that's another half of Edom, is supporting them. So, this is what's funny. Behold, I have made thee small amongst the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. The Edomites are getting very, very well despised. Just that little incident with Sami Zayn cursing out, the fans and all that. Because, of course, these Edomites are his enemy, man. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. Thou that dwellest in the cliffs of the rock, whose habitation is on high. Thus saith in his heart, who will bring me down to the ground? And then that also correlates to Isaiah chapter 14. Thou art cast down to the ground. Who art, well, I'll have to pull that out in a minute here. But nonetheless, it correlates. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Most High. All right, so I'm going to cross-reference since I made mention of it. Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12, because you'll see that these correlate. How art thou fallen from heaven, meaning fallen from their structure, because heaven just means kingdom. O Lucifer, which means to be enlightened, a.k.a. Illuminati, to consider thyself illuminated. Son of the morning, how art thou cut down to the ground that didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into heaven. And Esau's done this by creating space stations and so on. I will exalt my throne above the stars of Yahweh. I will also sit upon the mount of the congregation, the sides of the north, and we know that he's done this because he's X'd out all images of what the Most High looks like and put up Caesar Borgia. It's gone all around the world, but especially here in the Northern Kingdom, America. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, and I will be like the Most High. Yeah, he's done that, not just with Caesar Borgia, but with everything. He has considered himself to be like the Most High. Everything that is worshipped goes back to worshiping the Edomites. You know, they've taken all the religions and they put themselves in the statues, you know, and everything looks like, well, if you will, Rothschild, because David Rothschild is the reincarnate of Caesar Borgia, and everything worships Caesar Borgia, and particularly Serapis Christos. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit, meaning that your power structure is going to be destroyed, that they shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake the kingdoms? We should talk about the Edomites, you know, Esau, Edom, because they fucking hate these goddamn Edomites, and it's coming out, man. More and more you're going to see articles like that, you know, not just of celebrities that happen to be other descents aside from Edomite, just, you know, yeah, among the heathen, and, you know, who shall rise Judah up? That too is going to happen. That made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof. Yeah, because everything that America has done is made all the places desolate. They've destroyed places after places. That opened not the house of his prisoners. Yeah, you know, once you're on parole, man, you know, or you got quote-unquote a criminal record, you're not even supposed to leave this place, but a lot of people have been leaving because, quote-unquote, the borders have been open. It's free to leave. Well, Trump plans to change all that. All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, everyone in his own house. But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are slain, and thrust through with a sword, that go down to the stones of the pit as a carcass trodden underfoot. And remember, the house of Esau will be left for stubble. All this has taken place, and it's a good thing to see the downfall of our enemies. So I hope all this has been edifying. And then I'm going to re-air a couple other things, and we'll call this a wrap. So I hope all these videos have been edifying. Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Wa Abba Babal. Rakatam Jehophilek.
IUIC is at it again. Boy, oh boy. Let's start out by saying Barak Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem. IUIC is at it again. This lesson is based around the reprobates of IUIC. And this individual, you know, a couple of brothers did videos on it. Brother, they sent me the video earlier, and I just finished watching the brother Elder Manata Zakba's video down in South Carolina. So I just kind of wanted to give my 2 cents on it. You know, these guys are a bunch of reprobates teaching that you can have sex on the Sabbath, and that, you know, that's not a pleasure. Well, that sounds very eerily familiar to what High Priest Yeshaya said back in the days. I mean, I didn't hear him say it personally, but, you know, I believe that would be something he says, you know, given the fact of where he's at now. But he said, from what I heard back then, he said, there's nothing wrong with getting your head buffed on the Sabbath. You know, so this is just a reprobate mind that's going around. But you know, you see stuff like this, and you won't hear an outrage from any other camp. But Great Millstone, we're just the worst of the worst. You know, so I'm just gonna go through a few precepts. You know, you brothers can watch the elders video here. IUIC Demons No Sex on the Sabbath, and he mentioned the other brothers video here from Saints of the Most High Birmingham. You know, you brothers could watch those videos, and you could actually hear. I'm not gonna play it because you know you could actually hear them say it. So it's not something we're putting in their mouth. You know, they're actually teaching this now. So the word reprobate means to condemn strongly as unworthy, unacceptable, or evil, to foreordain to damnation, to refuse to accept, reject. It says foreordain to damnation, morally corrupt, depraved, expressing or involved in reprobation, of, relating to, or characteristic of a reprobate. And when you read Romans, the 1st chapter, the 28th verse, in the Red Bible, there's a margin there, and it says a mind void of wisdom. You know, and that's pretty much what these guys are. They're a mind void of wisdom. You know, because, you know, years ago, Nate had called Elder Apostle Tahar and told him that, you know, you had a bunch of brothers that left the house of David because they were pushing that everybody has to eat pork and pretty much break the laws and separate themselves from their unbelieving wives and all of that. And you know, that was off. You know, that was off. They shouldn't have did that, you know, because the scriptures talk about the unbelieving wife, and the scriptures also talk about, matter of fact, let's get that real quick. You know, they always talk about keep the laws, keep the laws, keep the laws, but they don't keep the laws. That's why the Lord said that with their mouth they do honor me, but their heart is far from me, and their fear towards me is taught by the precept of men. But this is the book of Matthew 5:17. It says, think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy but to fulfill. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. So these devils are teaching the congregation to break the laws of the Most High. When the Lord said, he expressly said in the book of Exodus chapter 20, you know, and at chapter 20 and verse 8, it says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy, not unclean, to keep it holy. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. And it gives you a list of not working and stuff like that, you know, case may be. But the Lord also mentioned here, which he tried to use this scripture as a justification, Isaiah 58:13, if thou turn thy foot away from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day. And then he stopped the individual that I was reading right there, instead of reading on, and call the Sabbath a delight, the holy of the Lord, honorable, and shall honor him, not doing thine own ways, nor finding thine own pleasure, nor speaking thine own words. Then shalt thou delight thyself in the Lord, and I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth, and feed thee with the heritage of Jacob thy father, for the mouth of the Lord hath spoken it. So pretty much, you know, this is talking about there's certain pleasures that we avoid or try to avoid on the Sabbath, you know, because every brother has messed up, you know. But the point is that these individuals are teaching people to actually break the law by having sex on the Sabbath. And when you look up the word pleasure, as the brothers already did, it's from the Hebrew word chapataza, which means delight, pleasure, delight, desire, longing, the good pleasure, that in which one takes delight. And they look the word pleasure up. Let's go to it. And the word pleasure is a feeling of happy satisfaction and enjoyment, used or intended for entertainment rather than business, give sexual enjoyment or satisfaction to. You know, and another word that was used was the word sensual, which the elder Menazizak brought it up. And when I looked it up, it says this: sensual, relating to or involving gratification of the senses and physical, especially sexual pleasure. Because what's more pleasurable than sex? You know, the only other or the only other thing that's pleasurable as sex, really there's nothing. You know, I mean, you have eating. You know, eating is pleasurable. You know, but the most pleasurable thing you could do is have sex. And this is why the Lord said to turn away from that. And the elder brought out the scripture that I was thinking about, about the seed of copulation, because that's one of the first things that came to my mind was the seed of copulation. Now I want to read a little bit of this. It says Leviticus 15:16. It says, if any man's seed of copulation go out from him. Now this word seed is Zerai, and let's look up the word copulation, which he did. The word copulation is shakabah. It means active line, layer, coating. This is like for dew, right? Active line of sexual relations. So the seed of copulation is what? Sexual relations. So when you have a woman, like the brother broke down, and you bust off in a woman, that woman and yourself become unclean because of the sperm that comes out of you, because the sperm is unclean. And this is the reason why when a woman gets pregnant, after she goes through, after the baby is born and everything, she has to go through a process of purification, because she had conceived seed and that seed was still in her. So once the baby comes out, she has to go through a process of purification, as stated in the law. Carnally, copulation, lay, seed, right? Now let's go back. Let's see what shakab is. It's probably lay. Yep, to lie down. All right, let's go back. It says, because the brother, he had to do like a quick, because he was on break. So I understand you try to get everything you can in that short period of time. So it says that if any man's seed of copulation go out from him, then he shall wash all his flesh in water and be what? Unclean until the evening. So the Lord said for us to be holy, to keep the Sabbath holy, and let me see if I could find this precept that just came to mind. Just bear with me 1 second, see if I could find this precept. Damn, I'm trying to think of how it's worded. But this is good right here. 1 Corinthians 7:34. There is a difference also between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman careth for the things of the Lord, that she may be holy both in body and in spirit. So when you're having sex, you're unclean for a certain period of time. And this is why the Lord told the children of Israel not to come at their wives for 3 days, before they came to present themselves before the Lord. Both in body and in spirit. Because why? The unmarried woman or the virgin is not having sex with her husband or with a man, because she doesn't have a man, and in spirit. But she that is married careth for the things of the world, how she may please her husband. Now, let me see if I can find it this way. Okay. Now I guess that was it. I thought it was something else with Anna, but this is the point right here. That they be holy both in body and in spirit. Because to have sex is to be unclean, and this is why the Lord said that remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. All right. So now let's read on back here. It says Leviticus 15:6, and if any man's seed of copulation go off from him, then he shall wash his flesh in water and be unclean until the evening. And every garment and every skin whereon is the seed of copulation shall be washed with water and be unclean until the evening. Let's see what it says for unclean. I'm just curious. Tama'ah. To be unclean, become impure sexually. Check that out. See? Sexually. Religiously, ceremonially. To defile oneself, be defiled sexually. Sexually, because when you have sex, you become unclean. You become unclean. That's what the Lord said. The seed of copulation. That's why if you have a wet dream, the next morning you get up, take a shower, wash your clothes, and and you're unclean to the evening. It says, shall be washed in water and shall be unclean unto the evening. The woman also with whom man shall lie with seed of copulation, they shall both bathe themselves in water and be unclean unto the evening. So it's impossible for you to have sex on the Sabbath if you're going to be unclean, and the Lord doesn't want that. 1 Corinthians 15, and I started 31 here. I'll jump to the 31st verse. Thus shall you separate the children of Israel from their uncleanness, that they died not in their uncleanness. So the Lord's going to put these guys to death, man. These guys are playing with fire, man. You know, these guys are playing with fire, man. It says, when they defile my tabernacle that is among them. This is the law of him that hath an issue, and of him whose seed goeth from him, and is defiled therewith. So if you are defiled, the Lord don't want you worshiping him, you know, on the Sabbath. If you're defiling yourself on the Sabbath, you know. And of her that is sick of her flowers, and of him that hath an issue, of the man and of the woman, and of him that lieth with her that is unclean. Now we jump into the Leviticus 22:4, which is a law for the priests. It says, what man soever of the seed of Aaron is a leper, or hath a running issue, he shall not eat of the holy things. Why? Because the Lord is holy, until he be clean. And whoso toucheth anything that is unclean by the dead, or a man whose seed goeth from him, or whosoever toucheth any creeping thing whereby he may be made unclean, or a man of whom he may take uncleanness, whatsoever uncleanness he has, the soul which hath touched any such shall be unclean until evening, and shall not eat of the holy things, unless he wash his flesh with water. And when the sun is down, he shall be clean, and shall afterward eat of the holy things, because it is his food. That which dieth of itself, or if it is torn with wild beasts, he shall not eat of to defy himself therewith. I am the Lord. So pretty much the scriptures direct us and tell us that to have sex is to be unclean. Whenever a man busts off in his woman, you know, the man and the woman are unclean. Bottom line. So this is impossible for you to have sex on the Sabbath, because eating Ben and Jerry's ice cream and having sex are two totally different things. You know, one is sensual, the other one, you know, you got to eat. You know, the scriptures direct us that, you know, you can't cook on the Sabbath, but you can prepare your food. It tells you that in the law, you know, that you can prepare your food. You can't, you know, you can't heat your food up, but you got, you know, you can prepare your food and eat. You know, wait a minute, did not the Lord tell Israel that when he had the manna, he said on the 6th day gather twice as much for the next day? So they ate on the Sabbath. You know, you could eat on, there's scriptures where you could eat on the Sabbath. You know, you could drink your yayin and stuff on the Sabbath. You know, but these guys are waxing worse and worse, as it says in 2 Timothy 3:1. This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves. You can see this is a real low life, a real grimy individual. This is one of them intellectual grimy individuals. You know, I want to use another word, but I'm biting my tongue on it. You know, I really want to call him what he really is, but I'm biting my tongue on it. You know, this dude is a low life. This dude is a reprobate. This dude is a demon. You know, this dude is a grimy motherfucker. All right. And Nate, for him to be teaching this, he has to be approved by Nate. So that means that IUIC is teaching this. They're all teaching this, unless Nate jumps up and says, well, no, this brother, he's been reprimanded, the video's taken down, you know, he's been corrected on it, blah blah blah. Unless they do that, IUIC is teaching this bullshit. All right. So the burden of proof is on Nate now. Now it says, second verse, for men shall be lovers of their own selves. And this guy, you can see he's a lover of his own self. He's all enthralled with himself. It's all about him. You know, that's why he's telling the Most High, you know, I'm going to have sex on the Sabbath, because if I can eat Ben and Jerry's, I can have sex on the Sabbath. What's to distinguish one pleasure from the other? And I thought about that too, as a elder pointed out, that you know, why did he look up the word sensual? You know, and he didn't. You know why? Because that would have cut him to shreds. You know, matter of fact, let me go to the book of here real quick. Jeremiah 3:14, right? I'm gonna go back to Timothy. Jeremiah 3:14. But if you have bitter envy and strife in your hearts, glory not, and lie not against the truth. And this is what this dude is doing here. He's lying against the truth. It says, and lie not against the truth. This wisdom descendeth not from above, but is earthly, sensual, devilish. For where envying and strife is, there is confusion in every evil work. So this guy is teaching men and women to go against the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, which they pride themselves in saying that they teach. So by them doing that, they're making these individuals say, you know what, I got an itch that I want to scratch. It's the Sabbath, but you know the brother said that we can have sex on the Sabbath. You know, so I'm gonna have sex with my woman on the Sabbath while I'm eating some Ben and Jerry's ice cream. How about that? Take it to the next level. Bunch of fucking reprobate demons, man. This wisdom descended not from above, but is earthly, sensual, devilish. So going back to Timothy, it says 2 Timothy 3:2, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent. And the word incontinent means to not be able to continue. Now you could have incontinency in the truth, not continuing in the truth. You could also have a woman that is incontinent, that can't contain herself and goes out and deals with other men. You know, you can have a woman or a man that say they're not going to deal, you know, with each other, whatever the case is, and you know, give their self to the Lord, and then they can't contain themselves. This is why the Lord told a woman that is a widow not to be taken into the widowhood under the age of 60, because they're still going to have that itch, you know, that they need scratched. Fierce, despisers of those that are good, you know. But here it is, these guys can teach Israel that you can have sex on the Sabbath, but great millstone, we just the worst thing ever. We the worst camp, and we never taught no bullshit like that, you know. But that's all right, man. We'll wear that proudly. You know, it says traitors, heady, high-minded, and you can see this guy is high-minded. This dude got a super proud look. He got that intellectual proud look, like he knows his shit don't stink, like he just knows he's a man of the Lord. But he's a man of the Lord, all right, a man of the Lord of the flies. It says traitors, heady, high-minded. Now here goes a beautiful one. Lovers of pleasures more than lovers of the Most High. Ooh, this is a cold slice cut. Just a, oh my goodness. Philadonos, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Loving pleasure, fond of pleasure. You could have sex on the Sabbath. Voluptuous, lover of pleasure. You know, the scriptures speak about being what's that word? Let me put this over here. The scriptures speak about being superfluous. Being superfluous. Just bear with me. So be overcharged. Okay, thought it was in Luke 21. Superfluous. Let me see if I. Nope, I spelled it wrong. Superfluous. Nope. Let me see. Here we go. Superfluous. Okay. Let me see. Just bear with me 1 second. I guess there's a scripture for it, but I can't really. That's a good one right there. James 1:21. Wherefore lay apart all filthiness and superfluity of naughtiness. That devil is being very naughty. And receive with meekness the engrafted word which is able to save your soul. But what is he doing? He's turning the grace of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai into lasciviousness. Let's get that one. Did I get it? Okay, cool. Here we go. For there are certain men crept in unawares. Here we go. That's one of them. It says, who were before of old ordained to this condemnation. This guy is ordained to condemnation. It says ungodly men. This guy is ungodly because he doesn't believe in the words of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. He doesn't have no fear. You know, he doesn't have any fear of the Lord. It says who were before of old ordained to this condemnation, ungodly men, turning the grace of our power into lasciviousness and denying the only Lord power in our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach. Because Yahushua died for us, but the scriptures say, use not your liberty as a cloak of maliciousness. You know? And I know from looking up this word before, it had like a connotation of a sexual connotation also. Unbridled lust, see? You know, you can have sex on the Sabbath. That's an unbridled lust. You know, because the scriptures say otherwise. You know, but he wants it to say, thou shalt not have sex on the Sabbath. You know, unbridled lust, excess, licentiousness, lasciviousness, wantonness, outrageousness, shamelessness, and then do the shameless, insolence. He's an insolent bastard. Filthy, lasciviousness, wantonness, and the word wanton means not able to contain oneself, just like incontinent. You know. Let's look up this word lascivious. See what it says. Of a person, manner, or gesture, feeling or revealing an overt and often offensive sexual desire. You know, and that's an offensive sexual desire. You know, to have sex on the Sabbath. You know. Now we've all gone off, you know, and sit here paint the picture like, you know, we're squeaky clean. You know, I'm pretty sure the majority, of not all brothers, have at one point or another gone off on the Sabbath. But the thing is, you know, is not to continue to do it. You know, repent and not continue to do it. You know, but this guy is actually teaching. Oh wait, reprobate, went right to a reprobate. This guy is actually teaching that you can have sex on the Sabbath. I heard it with my own ears. You brothers that heard it, y'all heard it. So when you go to and watch this video, you'll see that he said that. I just don't want to play it again because I don't want to hear that shit again. You know, it's an offense to me. So they turn the grace, because what is grace? Grace is the liberty that was given to us of the Most High by Yahushua, which is our liberty. But he's using it as a cloak of maliciousness. You know, grace. Charis, which you get the word charity from, or love. Grace, that which affords joy, pleasure, delight, sweetness, charm, loveliness, grace of speech. You know, given the grace or the liberty not to be put to death if we go off, but doesn't mean we just keep on doing it. Of the merciful kindness by which the Most High, exerting His holy influence upon souls, turns them to Yahushua, strengthens, increases them in Christian faith, knowledge, affection, and kindles them to the exercise of the Christian virtues. And these guys don't have any natural affection, which we read in the book of 2 Timothy 3. So let's read that again. For there are certain men crept in unawares, who were before of old ordained to this condemnation, ungodly men, turning the grace of our power into lasciviousness, and denying the only Lord power in our Lord Yahushua. And they're denying the Most High and Yahushua, and that's why they call themselves IUIC, Israel United in Christ. Alright, so what's this here? Okay, so it says having a form of godliness but denying the power thereof, from such turned away. So brothers got to get away from them individuals. The followers that they have, they need to get away from them guys, man, because they're going to destroy them. For of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women laden with sins, led away with divers lusts. And this is the reason why you had that woman Gina Blue. She went over there. Why? Because they catered to these women, you know, and she, you know, who knows what everything that went down. I don't, you know, this just stuff that I heard, and I don't have the facts, so I don't even want to talk about it, but this is what they breed, you know, in that den of vipers, ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. And they ever learning because they study, but they're never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. These women also, you know, it says, now as Jannes and Jambres withstood Moses, so do these also resist the truth. Men of corrupt minds reprobate concerning the faith, and they are reprobate concerning the faith. And this is why this guy is teaching that you can have sex on the Sabbath, because he has no fear of the Most High. It's all about him. It's about his pleasures and what he wants to do, and that's what they push at the IUIC. You can have pleasure, you could do whatever you want, you know, whenever you want. You know, well, no, that's not true. You know, we told the people to keep the law, so how come you ain't keeping the Sabbath holy? You know, when you have sex on the Sabbath, that means that you become unclean. You know, that's not holy. It says, but they shall proceed no further, for their folly shall be manifest unto all men, as theirs also was. And his folly is being made manifest. You know, and IURC's folly is being made manifest. And I know Deacon Asaph ain't with this. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think Deacon Asaph is with this bullshit. You know, but if he is, then he's going off too. Yeah, right. That's the pleasure principle prophets, or pleasure principle false prophets. It says, now I'm going to jump down to the 13th verse. But evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived, because this is a deception that this guy is pushing. And he's deceiving and he's also being deceived. Remember, the deceived and the deceivers are the Lord's. And you brothers heard it out of his own mouth. Alright. So now it says, but evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. But now the Apostle Paul instructs us, but continue thou in the things which thou hast learned and hast been assured of, knowing of whom thou hast learned them, and that from a child that has known the Holy Scriptures, which are able to make thee wise unto salvation through faith which is in Yahushua HaMashiach. And we're supposed to avoid all of that other bullshit. Then it says, all Scripture is given by inspiration of the Most High, and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the man of the Most High may be perfect, as the Lord is perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good works. Why? With the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the Bible. And this guy is a malicious soul. You know, so for you to teach that means that you're not thoroughly furnished unto all good works, and you're not perfect in the eyes of the Lord. You don't fear the Most High. You're a reprobate concerning the faith. And the Most High is going to destroy you. And I'm going to read this again, James 3:15. This wisdom cometh not, descended not from above, but is earthly, sensual, devilish. Jeremiah 6:30. Reprobate silver shall men call them, because the Lord has rejected them. And the Lord has rejected this guy, and he doesn't even know it. You know, and then people that are still with the IRC, they need to get away from them, man. You need to get away from them. The word reprobate is ma'as, to reject, despise, refuse, to reject, refuse, to despise, to be rejected, to flow, run. So they're rejected, you know, because they're void of wisdom. Their mind is void of wisdom. So now the last scripture is 2 Corinthians 13:5. Examine yourselves whether you be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves how that Yahushua is in you, except you be reprobates. And they are reprobates, you know. And we looked up the word reprobate, but like I said, when you look it up in the in the Bible, in the red Bible that we have, the margin says a person has a mind that's void of understanding, not standing the test, not approved. Which, you know, you could use that as a being someone that is void of a mind that's void of wisdom. And that's pretty much it, man. You know, this guy right here and the IURC, man, the more shit they talk about us, the further and further down they go. You know, but you're gonna still have those, the blind lead the blind, they shall both fall in the ditch. And I believe the elder Manatazakba actually quoted that scripture, or either read it or quoted it. You know. So pretty much, you know, that's it. You know, I just wanted to touch on that. I wanted to do another couple of different lessons, but doing the research on certain things. This is why, when you go, especially now, that these devils have total control of Google. You go look up certain information, and the information is there, but then you have those that come with some other bullshit. So it's like, it's like it's like it's a 50-50 chance you're gonna get the right information. But at the end of the day, we mainly teach the scriptures, and we try to stay, on teaching the scriptures, and if there's any information that can help, with the truth, we'll just bring it out for edification purposes, So with that, I pray that you brothers have been edified. Until the next time I say shalom.